Hey, it's Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Just like the ad said, it's the DVR. Of course, I'm your host, Keith Brugman. Welcome, Albert Noppers, the Mile High Dutchie. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
Doing fantastic. We're, man, it's the countdown, man. The draft is right around the corner. I mean, I know that at least for now, we're all scheduled for day 2 picks, but you never know what's going to happen. Man, we've been building all this offseason, buddy. All this offseason. It's kind of coming to a climax as far as building a team is concerned. You know, man, I'm telling you, it's exciting times, man. Exciting times, man. How you feeling? How you feeling about everything that's coming up and how the team is doing, buddy?
So far, I'm really happy with the purchases that we have in players, if we can call them purchases.
Sure.
And I'm really looking forward to the draft because we have only 5 of them, 5 picks right now, and we have to use them very, very wisely.
Yeah. I'll get into it, but I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot more movement with our draft picks in this draft than a lot of people are maybe giving credit. Maybe I'm just reading the tea leaves a little bit too much, but I could be wrong. I feel like it's going to be. I think it's going to be a wild draft night, man. But right now we're leading up to a wild draft night. Somebody that's been keeping you up to speed, and I'm actually going to throw him right up on the screen a little bit right now. Matt Staffiero jumping in saying, good evening, gents. If you don't know, Matt Staffiero is a big part of the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. And not only is he podcasting from time to time, not only is he behind the scenes, but goodness gracious, he also is a part owner in the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. And I'm telling you, those guys have been on the ball as far as all of your news. And I'm not just talking all your NFL news. I'm talking about all your NBA news, all your baseball news. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check out the Rocky Mountain Sports Network website over at RockyMountainSportsNetwork.com. Check them out. I'm telling you guys, great resource. And I'm telling you, they actually posted up right before opening day on baseball. I know this is a couple weeks ago, but they posted up some fantasy picks for opening day, opening weekend. They were like 90% on their picks, man. So I'm telling you, the guys know what is going on. Check them out, Rocky Mountain Sports Network. And hey, that's what we're brought to you by. I think it might even be saying something down below in a little bit all about that. So got Michael Ronquillo jumping in. Thank you, Michael Ronquillo, for joining us, man. Always a great supporter. Always good to see you on here, buddy. And glad that you're here joining the Denver Bronco Roundup. Talk a little Denver Broncos football with us this evening as well. So Matt just jumping in saying the draft is going to be interesting. It's so hard to predict. Having to wait 2 rounds makes it even harder. You're absolutely right, Matt. Having no first round, no second round pick, we start picking up in the 3rd round of 67 and 68 as it stands right now. It might be a little more difficult waiting. But again, I think might be some movement, and you might even you might have to be tuning in day one, as far as I'm concerned, just in case. So, not to be left out, Michelle Noppers, always a great supporter of us, always a great supporter of Albert as well. So, man, Kenny giving us the love, and then we'll get on to some of our agenda as well, buddy. But Kenny says, look at this all-pro team. Good evening, fellas. Talk about an all-pro team. K&K Sports over on the K&K Sports Show. You'll find Kenny Kirkpatrick. You'll find good old Kurt. You'll find the whole group. They've got an in and out group of fantastic experts. Go check them out. K&K Sports. Love their stuff and love to be on their show from time to time as well. But boy, I'm telling you, like I said, lots of things happening as of right now, bud. We put up kind of a little advertisement, everything that we'd be talking about. First thing that I'd like to get to, man. Do you remember the OBJ contract? And people can jump in here as well. I think it was 17.5, basically an $18 million 1-year contract. He goes to the Baltimore Ravens. That happened between our last show and now this show. But later what came out was the fact that, once again, Courtland Sutton, there was serious trade talks, it sounds, between the Baltimore Ravens and Courtland Sutton. So we've got some viewers out here already. I want to get your opinion, and this is really easy. Does Courtland Sutton get traded? Does Courtland Sutton not get traded? I want to see the comment board light up. In the meantime, Albert, you're going to tell me what your thoughts are around that.
He only gets traded if we get at least a third rounder for him. Anything below a first rounder is not going to happen.
Okay, do we get that third rounder?
There's a good possibility. Yeah,
okay.
During the draft, I can see it happen. If a wide receiver that one of the teams want is no longer there for them anymore, I can see it happen.
Yeah, I mean, you look what a lot of these experts are saying, and they're talking about a deep draft in a lot of different positions. But they're not talking about a heavily talented draft, and they're not talking about a heavily talented draft when it comes to the quote-unquote X position, the position that Courtland Sutton traditionally holds, the position that Jerry Jeudy took over last year and started producing immediately within. It is really interesting. Again, like you said, if we can get a third rounder, these guys, there's not a whole lot of them at the top of the board. You know, there's maybe one or two good X receivers available, and then they're gone. And now the market has kind of dried up as far as free agency is concerned. There's not a whole lot of guys out there. I know it's the biggest thing that's going to hold this up. I know it's probably what's held it up to this point is probably the numbers and the salary that Courtland Sutton is going to be guaranteed. And it might take the Broncos maybe kicking in a few dollars if they want to maintain that third round pick in order to do it. Michelle's coming in here and saying, I would hate to see him go, though. It's tough. It's tough. We really end up loving. I mean, the Denver Bronco fans, the Denver Bronco fan base, are unlike a lot of other fan bases out there. We love our guys. I don't care if he was drafted in the first round. I don't care if he was drafted in the 7th round. You know, we always have that Colorado kid that typically makes our roster. You know, we hold tight to our guys. And a guy like Courtland Sutton, who certainly came out, looked fantastic, had an injury, and just hasn't came back to that same level, it seems. We want him there, and we would love to have him, you know, on our team and producing like we want. But we'd hate to see him go, though, and I agree with you, Michelle. It would be tough to see him go.
But for the team with the schedule or the scheme that we're going to play, do we need 6 or 7 wide receivers? And there's the next question. Do we need them? And if that is not the case, then I can see him being one of the wide receivers that is being let go. Because with Judy and Tim Patrick.
And I think that's the big thing is, you know, could we could we rely on Tim Patrick to come back in his first year and be good, be at least solid, if not fantastic, in his position? Because really, I can't look around this roster and say, where's our next big body wide receiver? If you let Courtland Sutton go, you got Tim Patrick, and then the well starts going a little dry after that.
The thing is, Tim Patrick, before the injury, was at least as good as Sutton, and even if he is only 80% of what he was, he's still 5 or 10% better than Sutton is now.
Correct. I'm just worried about the longevity of does he play all 17 games? You know what I mean? Do you have to maybe in the beginning of the year, limit his playing time a little bit, kind of get him warmed up and get him into full speed, I mean, all these things have to be kind of taken into consideration. You know what I mean? I guess I love Tim Patrick to come back, play 17 games, be good, if not fantastic, right out of the gate. But those are somewhat unrealistic expectations. He is coming back from an injury, and even though things have gone fantastically well for him, we still will have to probably rely on, him needing some help along the way, or needing some time off, or maybe going down for a week or two if something flares up, flames up, gets a little bit tweaked. So, I guess it's just really interesting. We've seen Courtland Sutton, even though, and I wish I had the commenter right in front of me as we speak, but as we put our ad out for the show this evening, had one guy said, but again, Paton said we're not trading Sutton or Jeudy. He did say that George Paton has taken all the calls, but we're looking at acquiring talent right now, and we look at those guys as talented guys. So that's another reason, like I said, I wanted our viewers to kind of sound off and kind of let us know what your thoughts are, what if Sutton gets traded or not. And I think Matt Staffiero is chiming in. He'd say I'd do it. If we had if we were able to get that third round, I think is what he's speaking of, the one that Albert was talking about, then that's something he'd pull the trigger on. So, I think there's a reason to do it. I think there's not only do you get underneath that out from underneath that salary, but rebuilding would be the right way to go as well. Rick Loveland's coming in though. I think he was the first one to bring this up. And he says, could he be used in a trade for Budda Baker? This is a great point, Rick. Of course, you look at the Arizona Cardinals. Budda Baker wants out, according to Budda Baker. He wants out of Arizona. That would be him reuniting with Vance Joseph in our defense. And if you look at the Arizona Cardinals, they are certainly looking to probably add a talented wide receiver, as DeAndre Hopkins is gone, and really you look at their wide receiver crew. I forget the name of the gentleman, but recently they had one that was traded to, I believe, Jacksonville last year, if I remember correctly. So they have lost. It was Christian Kirk that ended up leaving as well. So they are in dire need of a wide receiver, and that's a good point, Rick. That might be the best link I think I've seen, and would make a great draft day trade, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that, Albert?
I would love to see it, because KGX should not be coming back. He is a liability. He doesn't have the speed anymore. And Budda Baker, as a veteran safety, he still has a lot of juice in himself. So he's a lot of threat that could be used in our team. I think it would be a good deal.
I think it would be a fantastic deal. The funny thing is that I had said, hey, we could get maybe a third round and Caden Stearns, send him that to Arizona, maybe in trade for Budda Baker, and that was my thought. But if you think about that in kind of reverse, and what Rick is kind of bringing up, we're all saying, what would we want for Courtland Sutton in order to pull the trigger? A third round pick. So all of a sudden, if we're trading Courtland Sutton a third round value, keeping our third round picks and a Caden Stearns and getting Buda Baker in return, that might be something that we could talk about. You know what I mean? Maybe start putting the package together. There could always be compensation. Maybe they have to throw in a seventh on the way back or something to that effect. You know, make it so that we don't lose any draft capital or gain some.
I think we can just trade a Buda Baker for Sutton and maybe get a fourth rounder without an extra player, because
I just think they also they're losing an all-pro free safety. You know, they would probably want something to replace it with, and not completely lose out and just. I mean, I know they're picking up the wide receiver, but you're losing in that position though too. You know what I mean? It'd be like trading, you know, I don't know, Garrett Bowles in order to pick up, you know, Dalvin Cook. You know what I mean? It's like, well, yeah, but now we have a glaring hole at left tackle. We didn't get anything back in return. You know, what's going to happen now? So that was just my thought, and getting a Caden Stearns in there, and then maybe getting a draft pick back from them. So that we could maybe recoup as well. So, thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, if that would happen, I'm all over it. And yes, let's do it.
Yeah, you know, we've done a lot of focus on the offense, but if you look at this defense, this was the heart of what the Denver Broncos were all last year, and really has the ability. Everyone's thrown away the no-fly zone 2.0 for years and years and years, but really, if you put a Buda Baker and a Justin Simmons and a Patrick Surtain, and I mean, you're starting to Damari Mathis, who looked fantastic last year, and I don't think he gets enough credit. If you have a shutdown corner like PS2, that puts so much pressure on a Damari Mathis. I really like the way that kid played in his rookie year, and now he only has the ability to get better. So you start putting all these K'Wan Williams, you know, that is in there. I mean, he's just a ball hawk. So, you know, it really has the ability to be one of the most formidable defenses. We do have probably some work to do up front, and everyone's been alluding to that. But man, that's it really has the ability to start building into something just dominant, you know, not only in the AFC West, but within the league, in my opinion. So this is a good point, man. Allen Robinson trade hurts the wide receiver market, especially for a guy like Sutton. Allen Robinson got traded for peanuts, and they picked up part of the tab on top of it. I forget the exact details. I was reading it right before I came online, but yeah, Allen Robinson deal definitely does not help out anybody out there. Just this market in general. It's amazing where the wide receiver market went from just a year or two ago, where every wide receiver was getting paid $18-20 million a year, sometimes on multiple year contracts. And now this year, some of these guys are trying to scrape out some, you know, $5 to $10 million contracts to go play for some guys, and some pretty good guys. That's why OBJ was so eye-opening and shocking when he went to Baltimore. So,
yeah, but Allen Robinson also does not have a bigger injury history than Sutton, and that makes a difference too.
Yeah, this is true. Allen Robinson. Yeah, I always liked Allen Robinson, but he's just like I don't know. He's been all over the place and had somewhat success in some places and mediocre success in others. And you know, it's tough to tell what you're really getting, I guess, in an Allen Robinson. In my opinion, I wouldn't be clamoring for him to be on the Denver Broncos, I guess. So, Albert.
Yes.
You know, we always like to be knowledgeable on this show. I don't know if you're maybe ready for some knowledge at this point. Do you think you're ready for some knowledge, sir?
I'm always ready for knowledge.
Well, it's not going to be knowledge from me. I'm going to have a little request. It's going to be knowledge from you, buddy.
Okay.
Albert, how we doing, sir?
I'm doing very good,
Uh,
and I have some information for you.
we have some we have some knowledge to pass along, not only to me, but to all of our Denver Broncos fans. If anybody who's not familiar, this is Noppers Knowledge. I'm gonna break it down a little bit. Albert has some knowledge on a player that's currently on our roster. He's gonna start breaking that down piece by piece. I really want you guys out there maybe guessing first and foremost. I may be a little bit more reserved in my guesses. I realized last time I was jumping the gun. I was trying to get in front of everybody. Trying to at that point we had Dave from Willow Seasonings and Blends on, and he was doing a little giveaway. And he's like, I think he was like, "Hey Keith, we're not giving this to you. This is for our fans." And we did. We hooked up Michael Ronquillo with some seasonings. I think we're still waiting, Michael, to hear from you. So you need to hit me up on that. But that being said, a little quiz time. We're gonna see what everybody's knowledge is on this Denver Bronco roster is like. And without further ado, geez, take it away, Mr. Albert, with your Noppers knowledge.
Okay, I will start with his weight. He is 242 pounds.
Currently 242. Okay.
Yep.
Again, I'll probably let it pass. That could be a multitude of positions, but have some ideas. So unless I see anybody jump in the comments here, I think you can keep it rolling, bud.
Okay. He was born in the 90s.
Well, geez, of course. Yeah. Okay. 90s. Okay. 90s. Now that's pretty old. That's pretty old, actually, in the grand scheme of things. Now, 99 versus 90, that's a big difference. But okay. 240, born in the 90s. So far, not a whole lot of guessing information I could go off of at this point. So,
Okay, so he went to high school at West Morris Central.
okay, I you had to give me a lot more than that. It's gonna be a long segment, buddy. If you're gonna, tell me what wing of the nursery he was in.
So West Morris Central was in Washington Township, New
Washington
Jersey.
and New Jersey. Okay, at least we got. Okay, so he's an East Coast Northeast kid. Okay, go ahead, keep going, buddy.
He got picked at number 168.
He was picked 168th overall. So we're talking like, geez, what, fifth round maybe? If I'm doing my math right, somewhere in there.
Yep,
Sixth round.
Fifth round.
Fifth round. Okay. Fifth round pick. Okay, you got to keep going, bud. Got to keep going.
He went to college in Rutgers.
He went to Rutgers University. Is it Justin Simmons?
Nope.
No, that's a heavy Justin Simmons, man. It can't be Justin Simmons. Okay, Josie Jewell.
Nope.
No, Jewell. No, I'm thinking. See, colleges I'm not good at. I'm not a college guy, so everyone's probably laughing at me. Josie Jewell. I think he was from like Iowa. So
he was drafted by the Lions.
He was drafted by the Lions. Oh, goodness gracious. Man, I think you better pick up your clues, man, or if not, I'm going to have to buzz out, and I'm not getting any guesses in the comments here, buddy, so.
He also played for the Bears.
Played for the Lions. He played for the Bears. He's 242 pounds. Born in New Jersey. Went to Rutgers.
His height is 5'11".
He's a short dude. Goodness, I have no clue, bud. You got one really like tasty clue that would just like be like, oh yeah, everyone will get it from here, because I think we're warming up to that right about now.
He also played for the Saints and the Redskins.
And he's a current player?
Yep.
Saints, Redskins, Lions, Bears. Who's been all over the place and weighs 242 pounds.
And the next clue will give it to you. He plays fullback.
Who's currently on our roster at fullback? Give it to me.
Michael Burton.
Oh, newly acquired Michael Burton. Oh my goodness. A guy that I've done like zero research on. Man. Man, that's more like a Albert Noppers Knowledge stump 'em. Buddy, Michael Burton. So Michael Burton, formerly of the last with the Kansas City Chiefs, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So throwing me all off. He was with the Lions. He was with the Bears and the Redskins and the Saints. You know, telling me he's man. I got a 5-alarm fire down the road or something down there. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, Michael Burton. What a great one, bud. Picking on me, picking on a brand new guy who's just new to the Broncos. That reminds me, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Burton. I don't know how much we talked about him, man. What do you have you looked at him? What are your thoughts on Michael Burton? Coming into this next year, bud.
I'm really looking forward to see him play. I think he has familiarity with Sean Payton. He has been in the Sean Payton system, so he knows the system that was probably going to play. And he is one reckless blocker.
Yeah,
and that is his main point that he will do. He is not very fast. He does a 4.74 on the 40. He has a broad jump of 9 foot 7 inches, so that is tremendous.
Yeah.
So,
for a 5'11" guy, yeah, that's spreading it out right there, man. Holy cow!
But yeah, he is a tremendous blocker, and in the scheme that we are going to play, that is what we will need.
Yeah. One of the things we like about him, at least I like about him, it's been a while. The position he plays, fullback, that's the only position this man plays.
Mm-hmm.
He's a dedicated fullback. There's just not too many of them out there. That you usually see that, like we saw a lot of tight end fullback, whether you looked at Beck or Tomlinson or a lot of the guys that we were using in a fullback type. No, this guy is a fullback. As he said, but he is granite. Michelle Knoppers, yeah, hard as steel, hard as granite. The guy can lay a lick and he's going to open up holes. Way to bring the knowledge, buddy. Michael Burton, what a great name, and a name that maybe has kind of been forgotten about in all the free agent frenzy, all the draft hype that we have kind of warming up right now. It's a name that we need to keep in mind because it's a name, as guys like a lot of people have been talking. How come DeMarcus Murray doesn't come back? Hasn't been named back? Well, part of it is we're going to be using that fullback, and he's going to be opening up holes for us, and it's going to be an exciting way to it's going to be an exciting difference that we see in the Denver Broncos, man.
And probably we will see Latavius Murray coming back after the draft. To see how it all pans out with the draft, but I think Latavius will come back because he wasn't one of the highlights in the Broncos offense last year. That's what I think.
He was. I think running back is just a place that we might look elsewhere. And to know nothing against Latavius Murray, as you said, he came in, he did fantastic, but he just like last year, he was a guy that was on the practice squad. He wasn't in training camp. He wasn't day one on the roster. Nothing like that, This is a guy that we were able to pick up, and I think there's opportunity for that if we don't address it in the draft. So Lots of, I guess there's lots of speculation, I guess is the best way to put it, around exactly what we're going to do around that spot. So, all right, buddy, it was, I was going to look it up just here real quick. Greg Rosenthal, NFL.com, kind of came out and he ranked all of the GMs out there, and really put what ranked George Paton 25 out of 25. Ranked him as the bottom GM in all the league. So one of the things that I think I was even on record saying at one point on our show is I thought George Paton might be gone if once Sean Payton was hired and after the draft. This comments like this certainly allude to something more along those lines. However, this is just a piece written by Greg Rosenthal and him kind of projecting, again, with the trade with Russell Wilson, the contract that was given with Russell Wilson, with Nathaniel Hackett coming in. A lot of it was just based on last year and the contracts that were given and the performance that did not happen under George Paton, giving him that 25th out of 25th ranking. So it begs the question once again, Albert, do you think that that we see George Paton here beyond the draft and into the 2023-24 season, I guess it would be? So,
I would say so. This might be a year for him to prove it or be gone. If he does really good on the draft, and the final say is this year is coming from Sean Payton anyway. So if Sean Payton does not like any of the picks that are coming up, then he's gone. But if George Payton comes with, hey, this is a good one and this is a good one, and Sean Payton agrees, I don't think he will be gone unless after the season.
So you're putting a little bit on this draft itself and what George Paton brings to the table. As far as whether George Paton stays beyond. Wow, that's I was just thinking about it in terms of that general timeline of turnover. It's always good to take all the scouting that these guys have been doing for a year and utilize it rather than can them and have them walk out the door with all their notes and ideas on this draft. But if it comes down to really what this draft produces, how much Sean Payton actually likes the picks that George Paton and his scouting staff is bringing to him at the time. That would be an interesting play, and I could see it happening as well. I think it is, as well as they've played together, as well as Sean Payton has said that him and George Paton have had basically a good relationship. They've been talking. That he's enjoyed his company basically in this process. There is still that question of whether, George Paton and Sean Payton, coexist. Sean Payton obviously has shown a propensity to bring in his own guys and his own ideas and his own thoughts into the Denver Broncos. And George Paton was not one of those thoughts that Sean Payton ever had. So. Be interesting. Hey, great time to take just a short break and just to remind you about willowseasonings.com. Last week we had Mr. David Slade on here on our show. He was actually a little bit of a guest. By the way, we would love to have some of our favorite viewers out there maybe jump on for a segment. If you're ever interested, just let us know. Drop us a message in the comments. We can tag up from there and we can figure it all out. But Mr. David Slade was on from Willow Seasonings and at willowseasonings.com. Check them out, willowseasonings.com, by the way. And this is why I kind of bring that up. Not only does he have a lot of great information that he brought to the table as a Denver Bronco fan and all the information he brought to you as a Denver Bronco Roundup fans as well, but he also did a couple of amazing things. and I'm just going to throw this up because Matt reminded me a little bit earlier in the show. Remember to make your purchase at willowseasonings.com and use the code DBR2023. Right now, that'll make a donation of $1 in the purchase in the memory for a Denver Bronco for Life fan, Zach Favela. Not only that, that's also going to get you 15% off your purchase as well. Super, super generous because honestly, Dave doesn't run a whole lot of sales, and when he does typically runs them big. He just got over his March Madness sale, which was 15% off. That was a huge sale for Dave to do 15% off his product. It's fantastic, guys. This product is not expensive. It's fantastic product. It's the best seasonings out there. The sauces are amazing. He's winning awards and contests left and right. Available all around, all up and down the Colorado range, and of course at willowseasonings.com. But like I said, on top of that, he goes in there and he drops the DBR code for you, DBR 2023, gets you the 15% off. And because Zach was such a huge Rocky Mountain Sports Network supporter from like the get-go, Dave went ahead and he says for every purchase that's made, he's donating $1. And that goes all throughout the month, guys. So take advantage while you can. Get stocked up on your seasonings. Help out that donation. That's going to basically like a GoFundMe, and I'm going to throw that up here as well. It's called Give and Go. Gives and Go. Gives and Go. Sarah is his wife, and Sarah has been left with multiple children without a father now. So that's what this is all about. Three altogether, as Albert's putting up there. So go help him out if you can. Go get yourself some Willow seasonings. Get 15% off. You're donating $1. It would be fantastic. It's a win-win-win. We're helping out people. We're getting a sale price. We're getting great products in our hands. So that's fantastic. Go ahead and jump on out there and do that. That would be amazing, guys. I appreciate it very much. And thank you very much, Matt, for bringing that up. Let's take care of Sarah and her kids.
And Matt just also mentioned that he will match every dollar donated by Willow Seasonings, so that is wonderful. And hey,
wow.
we also have a Mile High legend here.
We do. Chad Jensen's in the house, man. Mile High Huddle legend. And hopefully he's still in here because I noticed that comment came up just a minute or two ago. I was talking about Zach and his family. But Zach, buddy, this thing right here, this Bridge the Gap album, man, this is fire, buddy. This is fire, man. Anybody, if you're not already checking out Chad and his great guys over at Mile High Huddle and everything they do over there, you got to check out Bridge the Gap, man. Fantastic album. I got it in the delicious red vinyl. Sounds fantastic. And he told me I'm not the only one to tell him this, but man, the B-side, if I were you, man, I'd start on that B-side. That B-side will knock your socks off, buddy. Fantastic album. So happy for you, buddy. Congratulations on that debut show over in Salt Lake City for the debut album show. Heard it rocked and saw some of that as well. So, man, fantastic stuff. Go check that out. And Chad, appreciate it very much. You jumping in there. Says, hey, dudes. And then jumps in there and says rock as well, man. So, Clayton, I would love you to come on the show. We would love you to come on the show. Albert would love you to come on the show. Jody would love to come on the show. By the way, I didn't even mention that. Jody might be in the show later, but he's got extra work, as we always do. Outside of work. Outside of this, we all have our work. He's got a little extra. He might come in a little bit later, but Clayton, just hit us up, man. Hit us up in the comments. Like me out on Facebook. I think we're actually friends on Facebook now. Let's jump into Messenger and let's figure out a way to get you on here, buddy. Okay. Michael Ronquios coming in there and saying, I have his CD, man. Yeah, that Bridge the Gap. I'll be honest, now that I got the vinyl and I enjoyed it at home, Now I have no way of listening to it in my car.
Yeah.
I might be lined up for a CD as well, Michael.
See, you have the benefit. Yours is signed. I just have a regular CD,
Oh,
DVD.
it's all right, man. It's all right,
Absolutely.
man. I'm telling you, man. I love it, man. I love that. I'm gonna have to get that CD now too. Unsigned CD, I'm fine with, man. It's all good, man. I need to rock that out in my car. There's only so much rocking you can do in your own house. You know, you get behind the wheel, man. Then you're really rocking, in my opinion. So, sounds like Clayton's for sure, man. I will, bro. Awesome, bro. Man, love to have you on the show, man. I look forward to it. We'll get you on as soon as humanly possible. So, well, like I said, man, we talked a little about Courtland Sutton. We talked a little bit about George Paton, buddy. One of the things I wanted to break down, I kind of brought this, I guess, up a little bit earlier in our pod, as far as what might happen in this draft, man. I started looking over, and this was part of our ad that I put out our ad as well, man. But I just wanted to kind of start to at least break down. I know it's a little late, but at least break down some of the visits that we had with some of potential college athletes coming to the Denver Broncos, filling out the roster. And you know, I maybe it was just because of the names that first came out. Because when I saw tight end Luke Musgrave, as far as a private visit, I was like, man, must be the Broncos are going after tight ends, because I think I've seen a couple now. Well, they've had 3 tight end visits, but that's by far obviously not the most that they've had. So I just want to break this down by number. Of course, we had the one quarterback that came on right off the bat. That was Sean Clifford out of Penn State. We've had a couple of safeties that we've visited with. We've had 5 linebackers. We've had 3 wide receivers. We've had, and I had to kind of put this all together, and really is a mixed mash. Maybe I'll just say 5 running backs and maybe 1 all-purpose player. He's listed as a fullback, but Jack Coletta out of Oregon State really is. He's literally listed as a fullback linebacker. So that kind of tells you exactly what this guy is all about. 5 cornerbacks, 4 defensive linemen, of course the 3 tight ends that I was telling you about, and the 5 offensive linemen. So right off the bat, my initial impressions that, hey, maybe tight end is a big push. If we start looking at least at the visits, it would say that, well, I'm wrong. It's just straight up, I was just wrong, Albert. But offensive lineman with 5, cornerback with 5, running back with 5. These are the places, linebacker with 5. These are the places that we've really looked into. There was kind of a second part that I looked at when I started breaking this down, because then I started looking at the projections that a lot of these guys have. And this is where I think there might be some movement within the draft, and why a name like I originally talked about with tight end Luke Musgrave being brought in. Luke Musgrave is projected at being a first-round draft pick. We don't have a first-round draft pick, Albert. And so there's a few. Go ahead.
And this is the case. If Musgrave might drop to the 3rd round, and they might pick him up, because with a lot of teams already know that as soon as Albert O comes into play, we're going to throw the ball. It's a dead giveaway.
Oh, I agree with that.
So if we get a tight end that is good in both blocking and running routes, and guess what? And Albert O is going to be replaced with Musgrave if he falls to the 3rd round.
And that would be a huge fall. I mean, this is a guy that I believe is in the green room. A guy that, and I might be wrong on that, but a guy that literally is considered probably one of the top 2, maybe top 3 tight ends to drop all the way to the 3rd round. Now, don't get me wrong, a little bit of injury history, maybe that shuffles a little bit, but still, no one's projecting him anywhere near the 3rd round. The other thing that I saw was there was a lot of names. Adebawore. I'm sorry, I'm going to struggle with that name. Hopefully he gets drafted to us and I am better. But defensive end out of Northwestern. He's projected in the first round. Garrett Williams, a cornerback that we just recently had a private visit with. He's projected in the first round. Now, Adebawore was a combine visit, and Keely Ringo, cornerback, we visited with him at his pro day. He's projected in the late first round. Julius Brents, cornerback, first maybe second round type of guy. We don't have these picks, and I know that maybe we like a few of these guys, and we hope that maybe one of them falls to us in the first round, from the first round all the way into the third round. But we're investing a lot of visits and talking to a lot of guys that seem that like we're just hoping and crossing our fingers that they fall to us.
But I think right now you're in the wrong game. You need to think about more playing chess and covering up, because if you show a lot of interest in the first rounders, then maybe other teams will think, hey, they're looking into a first rounder, maybe a late first rounder, maybe we can get Jody for a first rounder. You never know. I think this is a big game of chess what they're playing, and maybe they're hoping maybe they will get a first rounder for Jody.
Man, I don't know. We might even have to bring in a judge on something like this, but right, I'm not sure if he'll be the judge on it. But we are going to bring in Mr. Jody Moncrief. Jody, man, I appreciate you jumping in, bud.
What's up? Sorry I'm late again.
Oh, no worries.
Man, here's this guy that's putting in double time shifts, carrying unloading trucks and putting everything on his back and dragging it across the warehouse floor, I'm sure. But after that, he rushes right in to see us and see you guys. So no worries, Jody, man. Appreciate you joining in. I was just, we hit a few topics. We can maybe hit a little bit of a rewind if you want to on some of them. But I was just jumping in. I was talking to Albert. I don't know how much you caught before I let you in the chat here. But I was going over our visits that we had with, potential players join the Denver Broncos, whether these were combine visits, whether they were pro day visits, whether they were virtual visits, whether they were private visits that we brought them in for. Kind of breaking down the numbers, not as tight end heavy as I thought. Obviously a lot of cornerbacks, a lot of running backs, defensive linemen, offensive linemen. This is kind of where the visits have came in. But the thing that really was I was starting to point out to Albert, is we have multiple first round picks that we've taken a look at. And I thought, maybe there's a little bit of smoke where there's fire, or there's a little fire where there's smoke. Albert's saying maybe we're just putting up a smoke screen as far as who we're bringing in. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you want to chime in right off the bat?
I think
you might be on mute, buddy. Oh, sorry.
You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yep.
Sorry, man.
Sorry. I think they're just doing their due diligence. If the right offer comes for Jerry Jeudy and they do get a 1 or maybe even a 2, they might take that. And now they don't want to be scrambling late, getting an offer for Jeudy a 1, and they have not interviewed any of these players. I don't like you hear the thing like Gelway never met with Chubb, never even talked to him until, and then just draft him. I don't like that. You need to, if you're going to move up that high and you're going to pay this kind of money, you need to do your due diligence and not let it come back to bite you like some of the high first round draft picks that have, like the guy Henry Ruggs, for example, or something like that.
Okay. Due diligence, just in case, maybe we get that first rounder from a Jeudy trade or something like that. And I guess that's kind of where I was at. For me personally, and I alluded to it a little bit earlier in the show, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit distant, guys, because I'll be honest. This is what's happening. We're having trouble that and I just want to be completely clear to all of our fans, because we have some amazing fans out there. We have a heck of a time seeing when you guys are dropping stars, and I'm trying to figure that out. That being said, I'm seeing in our chat from Michelle Noppers, thanks for the stars, Chad, which tells me he's obviously dropped some stars. And from what I can see, guys, and I don't know if this is all just from Chad. I don't know if Michael, you've always been a fantastic supporter as well. But I'm already seeing 1,000 stars from our fans, guys, and that's just awesome. That's just off the charts awesome. We thank you guys so much, man. For a little Denver Bronco Roundup over here, a few guys hanging out and just trying to give you some good content every single Tuesday. Man, I can't say how grateful, how much gratitude I have for you guys. Thank you guys so much, and obviously thank you, Chad. And if I'm missing people, I will be able to check those comments out, and I try to comment on them afterwards, as like I said, we've been having a hard time. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. So, wow, 1,000 stars, guys. Thank you. I guess I'll try to get back into it now. When I started looking over my visit board, I saw a couple of things that pointed out, and you guys might say, "Hey, we're doing our due diligence, making sure, hey, on those first round picks, just in case the trade comes through, maybe a guy drops," as Albert was saying. But I also noticed there's a lot of lack of projected mid-round guys. That the third, the second through fifth round type of guys, I see a lot of fourth through seventh, and I see a lot of first and second round type of guys. But literally, where we have the most amount of picks in the third round, those guys are a little bit more scarce when we're looking at our overall visits. And it got me thinking, and this is just maybe I need a tinfoil hat segment for Keith or something like that. But my tinfoil hat is, I think we're moving up to get some guys, and I think we're moving back in order to get later draft picks or draft picks next year. And that might be how we end up, gaining draft picks and still maybe getting a phenomenal player that not a lot of people thought we would be able to get. Tell me I need to put my tinfoil hat away. I think I'll let Jody jump in since it's been me and Albert. Jody, am I crazy?
Maybe a little. I mean, they've interviewed the tight end from Oregon State that's projected to be like his name's escaping me, from the Saints.
Luke Musgrave.
Luke Musgrave, who's what's the quarterback from the Saints? I can't think of his name.
The quarterback from the Saints?
The from BYU. I can't think of his name.
Oh, did we bring him in as well?
No, the tight end, quarterback, running back. Who am I thinking of?
I don't know. I don't know. Oh, gotcha. I know what you're talking about.
They projected him to be like that.
Okay.
They brought in Chris Rodriguez, the running back from Kentucky. They did interview with him.
Yep.
I read somewhere another lineman, a left tackle, and I don't remember who it was. So I think they're doing their due diligence.
So this is what and maybe I'll just hit it just again. As far as first round type of guys that I saw, Luke Musgrave that we've already talked about a little bit, we brought in. Adebowore, defensive end out of Northwestern. He's projected to go in the first round. Garrett Williams, cornerback out of Syracuse. Keely Ringo, we met with him on his pro day. Georgia cornerback, of course. Sean Tucker, we had a private visit with him. He's projected anywhere from a late first to maybe as late as a fourth. Sean Tucker, running back out of Syracuse. Rashee Rice, wide receiver. We had a private visit, and we met with him at the combine. A wide receiver, 6'1", 204 out of SMU. I mean, a lot of guys and just that might be a first round talent. And then, I'm kind of skipping over, but I see seventh round, undrafted, sixth run to undrafted, sixth to seventh round, not projected to go in the draft. Just a lot of guys that are either late round draft picks or at the top. I'm just surprised that there isn't a whole lot of third, fourth, fifth round projected guys in here. It seems like it's guys that are the outliers.
So some guys I've seen: Jordan Riley, defensive lineman from Oregon; Art Green, cornerback from University of Houston; Garrett Williams, you mentioned him; tight end Daniel Baker from Michigan, who is big old guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just some of them. Chris Rodriguez was another one, and they met with him early.
Yep.
Let's see
who
else.
But Chris Rodriguez, from what I saw,
Witt, offensive tackle, Northern Michigan.
Chris Rodriguez projected 5th to the 7th round.
Sean Tucker, running back, Syracuse. Luke Sconemaker, tight end, Michigan. Chandler Zavler, offensive guard, North Carolina State.
Yeah, I get all these guys, but I'm like literally, if we start going through these guys, like Jordan Rhodes out of Arkansas State, not even projected to be in the draft. Luke is a good one, but like Daniel Barker, Illinois, Michigan State product, not projected to even be drafted in this.
But I think draft. Even these guys that may not be projected, Denver was really quick to pounce on like Chris Harris, undrafted, and look at something like that.
I have no problem with that.
Look at Philip Lindsay, undrafted, and what did he do in Denver for 2 years?
100%. No, I'm not saying you don't take a look at these guys. I'm not saying that these guys aren't guys that we should look at and we should value. What I just don't understand is that our bulk of our picks. What's our picks? We have 2/3, a fourth, and a fifth.
Right.
Fourth, fifth, and sixth. Is that right?
Sixth.
Okay, so 2/3, fourth, fifth, and sixth. We've looked at a lot of first round guys and a lot of guys that might go in the 6th, 7th, or undrafted. We haven't had the bulk of our guys being in that 3rd, 4th, 5th round where you think you'd want to be concentrating the most. You know what I mean? That's where you're projected to be. It just seems like to me, and again, I'll get my tinfoil hat for next week. My tinfoil hat idea is we move up. And maybe we move up into the 2nd round. Maybe we go as crazy as trying to move up into the 1st round. But I think we're going to move up into the 2nd round, and we're going to get one of these guys that that do fall, that were projected in the 1st and end up falling. And we go up into the 2nd round. But in doing so, all of a sudden we deplete ourselves of 3rd round, 4th round type of picks. And maybe we end up taking the 5th and the 6th that we have and getting more 7th round picks and picks next year, and look at those lower round picks and look at the top of the draft board. Again, tinfoil hat, just my thought. Call me crazy, but that's where I'm going with, at least for right now.
Yeah.
I think.
Go ahead.
It's more of if you look at the starting 22 on both sides of the ball, where there's not a spot that you say the huge red flag. You might say your second corner, but you have Davari Mathis, who we've seen play a lot last year, and they never really addressed corner in free agency. They spent big and they didn't address that. Maybe safety, but Stearns has shown. Maybe center, but they could have spent big money there and went and got a center. So I don't see a glaring need. I think it's more they see a type of guy that they want that's going to fit what they do. If you look at a lot of the tight ends they've brought in, they're big, massive guys blocking tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to tell you a lot. What it's going to be run, and more run. So I think it's just more trying to get guys that fit what they do. I don't think if a guy's projected in the 6th and they get him in the 3rd, I don't think they really care. if he fits what they do and he pans out to be a good player for
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still
And that's
believe
fine,
they are
man.
playing
Like I
chess.
said, just my own tinfoil hat. Albert, go ahead.
I still believe they are playing chess. They already know which plays they won in the third round and in the fourth round, and they just want to keep up appearances and to see that they are interested. It is, yeah, and I think they are playing a chess game right now. They already know which plays they want. That's what I think.
And I think they're gonna. I think they're really hoping that one of these guys falls into a place where, second round maybe is attainable, that they can move up. It's got to be the right player to do so, Clayton says, and I agree. Maybe, if you're lucky, Keely Ringo is projected maybe late first. That would be probably a stretch to probably get him in that position as far as a second round pickup. But I also, one of the things that I need to do a few more mock drafts myself. One of the things I really, really despise is everyone saying, well, this guy's not going to be here. He's a first round talent. This guy, I'm like, there's only 30 picks, guys. And there's only so many needs from so many teams. Not every guy needs every position, and don't get me wrong, talented guys will always rise to the top. But, it seems like there's, 3 guys that should go in the first round in every position, and that's just not feasible. Some of these guys are going to drop, just because there's not enough picks in the first round. Simple as that. It's the way I look at it. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Unless they trade like a Simmons or Pat Surtain, who I think's off the board, I don't see how they're going to get up there anyways. I mean, you see all these wide receivers getting traded for 6th and 7th, and
Yeah.
What?
If a team comes there this year,
if a team comes to you and offers you a 2 for Courtland Sutton or a 3 or something, you better take it, because that's highway robbery right now. Allen Robinson got a 6 or a 7 or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think it was a 7.
A
7th, and then they traded a 7th, and they picked up like $5 million of his salary.
Amari Cooper last year got like a 6 from. These big time wide receivers are not getting traded for nothing.
Yeah, value just fell off, buddy.
Whoever it was for Jacksonville, I can't think of who it was. The wide that got paid huge. He wasn't getting that contract this year if it was a year later.
If you're talking about, there was a couple of them, Zay Jones and Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk. He got paid huge. That would have been a huge deal this year.
I agree. We were talking about that before you got on here, buddy. Man, I 100% agree.
I think first round's a pipe dream at this point, but you got to do your due diligence, because look at somebody like Trey Smith for Kansas City. He was projected as a 1, but had the little medical condition, and they got him in the 6th. And now he's probably a top 5 guard in football. So, you never know. Somebody like that can fall easily.
You're right. You're absolutely right, man. There's, like I said, there's not enough picks in the first round for everybody that I'm hearing saying, well, that guy's a first round talent, that guy's a first round talent, that guy's a first round talent. There's not enough players. There's not enough teams, and there's not enough picks in the first round for all these guys to be in the first round. I think we'll end up seeing more value. You'll see guys drop, and you'll be like, how did this happen? But at the same time, you look at all the guys above them and say, yeah, that makes sense. All these guys were talked about as possibly being in the first round, unless it's the Raiders, because they tend to go after guys who are like third round talent in the first.
Look at Russell Wilson when he was drafted. He was a third round draft pick, and arguably probably the best quarterback out of that draft.
I want to hit Michael Ronquillo's question really quick. We kind of hit on this, me and Albert, a little bit earlier. Did want to get your thoughts on it as well, Jody. He says the NFL draft is going to be George Paton's last chance to impress Broncos country with the help from Sean Payton. He was ranked 25th out of 25 GMs as of from Greg Rosenthal at NFL.com. I spoke about it before earlier in the year about how this could possibly be Payton's last hurrah as he gets through the draft and he's moved on from that's somewhat feels like it's in the distance past because a lot of goodwill has been expressed between the two. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that we see George Paton through 23, 24, and Albert? And well, I could let Albert deliberate his comment. Albert, why don't you let Jody know your thoughts on what was riding on the draft? I guess.
So if I believe if George Payton does really well in the draft, he will stay here for the season and maybe like go in the end of the year. But if George Payton comes up with draft picks that Sean Payton doesn't like, Sean Payton, I mean, doesn't like, then George Payton might be gone after the draft.
So what are your thoughts, Jody, man? How much is is he here 23, 24? Does he get go after the draft? Is this all just a drama because there's a media blackout and as far as the Denver Broncos are concerned? What are your thoughts, buddy?
I think it's more in a roundabout way to bash rush that you can say, oh, that was a horrible trade.
That's right.
But after this year, when Russ, which I've said many times, balls out this year, they'll praise him for that trade. I mean, look what Shelby Harris, not with Seattle anymore. Noah Fant did basically nothing last year. Greg Dulcich, who missed like 10 games, had the same stats basically as him. Drew Lock, a backup quarterback. Yes, they gave up 2 draft picks and some draft first-round picks that they've turned into some good players, but so
Shelby Harris wasn't brought back.
Right. And if you look at what he's done drafting, arguably the best corner in football he drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty risky, taking him over a team that needed a quarterback.
I agree. Would have been the safer pick, I guess you could say, going after.
He's got other starters out of this draft. Look at Devon Mathis. Mathis is a starter. Look at Quinn Miners, starter. Look at
Dulcich.
Greg Dulcich. I mean, that's a steal, I think, if he can get healthy. Dulcich.
Baron Brown.
He gets hammered for 3 things, I think. The Russell Wilson trade, because it looks bad how Russell played last year, which I think he will turn it around. Nathaniel Hackett, and that was it was a bad signing. And I think Randy Gregory paid him all that money, and he was hurt again. And maybe drafting Nick Bonito, who really didn't play a whole lot, but you still have to give that an incomplete because we don't know yet.
And maybe with Hackett, that might not have been George Payton's choice at all. Major manager, upper management might have said, hey, we want Aaron Rodgers. Let's get Hackett and see if that might. So it might not have even been George Payton's fault.
See, I think that's why he gets a bad grade for the Hackett, because we're going to hire Hackett to get Rodgers, and that failed. And then in turn, all this that you tried to do to get Rodgers, then you tried to put on a different type of quarterback in Wilson, and it didn't work. Whoever's fault, we don't need to go down that road. But, I mean, it was a horrible, horrible signing because there were other qualified coaches out there. Dan Quinn. They brought in other qualified coaches, and I think that's why. But no one looks at best cornerback in football, traded to get who is probably an elite running back if he ever comes back, Javonte Williams, starting caliber left guard, Quinn Miners, Devon Mathis. Those are all starters that came out of this draft that he's drafted.
I think you're right, man. I think it's fair. I don't think that the power struggle that I originally thought was going to be happening between Payton and Payton ever came to be. It seems like they're getting along quite well. So, like I said, I've kind of quelled my my tinfoil hat on Payton being on, out the door as soon as the draft is over. I don't know if it plays as much as Albert says, like you were saying, Albert, on this draft itself. If I was the judge right now and not Jody, Jody put up a heck of an argument, and even Michelle is like she's saying spot on, buddy.
If Sean Payton,
Jumping on here too, just saying more. Payton has done more good than bad, though. So, 100%.
see, I'll give three incompletes. You have to give an incomplete for Russell Wilson because what's he going into the year 13 and 12 of them he's been a great player. I'll give an incomplete to I lost my train of thought. But I'll give an incomplete for Russell Wilson. I'll give an incomplete for Randy Gregory because when healthy last year, he was probably Denver's best defensive player through the first 4 or 5 games. He was Denver's best defensive player.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can come back healthy and play, that can be a great signing. So I'll give those 2 incompletes. Other things that people don't mention. He got 2 2s for Von Miller.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think that was incredible to get 2 2s for Von Miller.
You're right, man. Not a whole lot of defensive players getting out there traded for value like that as well. So, I wanted to hit Kenny real quick. He had an idea as far as Courtland. Not that idea. I brought up this one. He said, Courtland Sutton to my Giants for a 3rd round. Later in the 3rd round, are you guys doing it?
Yeah, that's high road.
I think we have to take it, buddy. Yeah, I think we have to take it, man. We'll hook you up, buddy. You get Courtland Sutton and the contract, and we'll get the 3rd round pick, and we'll try to move forward, man. We'll move forward with Judy and Patrick, and we'll find a way that we can probably bring another wide receiver into the room, whether it be through the draft or through free agency, in my opinion. So.
I'm a Sutton fan, but if you can dump the salary and you can go get players at other positions and you can get a 3 for him when other wide receivers that are on the same level as him are going for 6s and 7s, then you can give George Payton an A+ for that.
Yep. Albert, I'll let you address this one. Kenny's coming in, and like he says, it's his weekly Madison joke that he's got going on with you. But he says, Dutchy, the rumor is Courtland Sutton for Alexander Madison and a 3rd round pick. What do you think, boys?
I would definitely do it. That Madison would be the cherry on top.
Oh, there you go, buddy. There you go. Yeah, it's all a done deal, man. Michael Ronquillo just coming in and saying, news around the NFL, Damar Hamlin has been fully cleared for football activities. Always good news to hear, bud. So, obviously, that was probably, I can't think of a moment in football that was more just take your breath away, just standing in a terrible awe, I guess you could say, as
we literally seen the dude dead on the field.
Yep. Yeah. I mean,
and we're talking
teammates huddled around him.
6 months later, he's cleared to play football again. That's pretty incredible.
It is fantastic, great news, and I know there's a Denver Broncos show, but love to give little hats off to Hamlin and Damar Hamlin, and glad that he's back, all the way back. Didn't know if that was going to be possible. It was always good that he was recovering. And it seemed like this was the projected path, but to actually get that final check from the doctor and be able to hit the field for all activities, congratulations to Damar Hamlin, and welcome back to the NFL, buddy. So Kenny's loving it. He's like, I'm in. Daboll could do good things with Sutton. I agree. I think you look at Brian Daboll and what he did with the Buffalo Bills, what he's starting to put together with the New York Giants, the scheme that he puts together. I think it'd be fantastic. As Jody has pointed out numerous times, the personnel that we're bringing in, the scheme that we're bringing in, we're not a high need for wide receiver in our offense, though you always want talented guys, as Sean Payton pointed out. I think it's Courtland Sutton is something that we could move on from for both salary and pick up some draft capital, some draft picks at that time. That would be fantastic. So
the big thing for me with Sutton is if you're going to run 12 personnel, you're going to have a big time a receiver that you're paying big time money to, a lot of the times on the sidelines, and that makes almost 0 sense to me. I mean, you're paying Patrick and Sutton big money, and one of them is going to be on the bench. There's most of the time one of them is going to be on the sidelines.
And they would have to add Madison into the deal, because otherwise they cannot afford Sutton with paying Jones so much.
There you go.
Now I'm more interested to see what the Vikings do with Dalvin Cook. It sounds like he's been rumored to want to trade, and I mean, George Paton was a part of the Vikings when they drafted him. See what Denver does there. I mean, they've went all in at the running back position.
Yeah.
If they go and get somebody like that, that tells you a lot about where they think Javonte Williams is.
Well, and in some of the numbers I mentioned a little bit earlier, Bud, we brought in 5 different guys for visits when it comes to running backs. Sean Tucker out of Syracuse. He's projected anywhere from a late first to an early to maybe a 4th round pick. So big spread on him. He's 5'9", 207. You mentioned Chris Rodriguez Jr. that we met up with the combine. He's kind of a later round pick. 6 foot, 217. Keaton Mitchell out of East Carolina, 5'8", 179. Tank Bigsby. We brought him in for a private visit. He's out of Auburn, 6 foot, 213 pounds. My favorite guy, and it seems like Albert, I don't know why, but I always pick out the guys that I'll never be able to say their names. Israel Abakananda, if I said that right. He's a running back out of Pittsburgh. He's 5'11", he's 215. Go check out some highlights of Israel Abakananda if you don't mind. He's projected, despite everything I was saying earlier, guys, he's projected between the 3rd and the 5th round. A guy that I think we can actually get. And then last guy, and you may know this name. You're a college football guy, so I'm sure you know this name. But we brought Jack Coletta in from Oregon State on a private visit, buddy.
So do you think there is a suspicion that we will not see Montrell Washington of Javonte?
Javonte Williams. Well, I think we need to look at, we need to look at the possibility he doesn't come back. And if nothing else, that he's certainly not going to be back and healthy right away, not 100%. We need to add to this running back room. It doesn't look like we're bringing back Latavius Murray, as he's kind of looking around and poking his nose around other teams in the league at this point. So, I think there's a good possibility you go and private visit for Sean Tucker, private visit for Keaton Mitchell, private visit for Tank Bigsby, private visit for Jake Coletta, met up with Israel Abakananda at the Combine, and we also with Chris Rodriguez as well, Chris Rodriguez Jr. So
I mean, you have to be crazy to think that come week 1 that Javonte Williams, even if he is cleared to play, is going to be at all 100%. I mean,
Correct.
And George Paton backtracked his comments that he's going to be, what he said, how he's going to be ready week 1, and he backtracked that. So I would probably guess or would predict that he starts on PUP at least.
Oh, very good. That's fair. I mean, really quick, Albert, your thoughts, man. Do you think that we're adding to this room? I mean, we talked about Latavius Murray. You kind of wanted him to come back, but do you think we add to the draft a running back?
If we're really going to a scheme that Sean Payton likes to play, run, I think we don't need as much wide receivers because they are not as heavily played. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd rather have than five or 6 running backs, even although you only might dress 3 of them.
Yeah,
but have them in the background because something is going to happen.
That's fair. Not with our new strength and conditioning. No more Lauren Landau for you, buddy.
With all the running backs that they could have went out and got, it was Pirine right away. He catches the ball out of the backfield. That's something that Sean Payton really likes to do, is throw to the backs out of the backfield. Look at the running back in New Orleans. His name's escaping my mind. But he catches the ball out of the backfield really good.
Alvin Kamara.
Yep. So, Piran was great in Cincinnati catching the ball out of the backfield. So, don't expect a Derrick Henry, type running back. I think you're going to get, the smaller kind of running backs like a Dalvin Cook or a Kamara or somebody like that.
I looked at a little bit of tape on every single one of the guys that we've had a visit with, guys. I can tell you the big Latavius Murray downhill, just smash between the tackles type of runner, nowhere to be seen in any of these guys, man.
Catching the ball out of the backfield and
catching the ball out of the backfield, a lot of RPO, a lot of edge run, a lot of, this is what you're seeing. You know what I mean? It's fast guys, quick twitch guys that can make a quick bounce, get to the outside, turn up the sidelines, get downfield. These are the type of guys that you're seeing, not the pound it hard Latavius Murray style. So
one thing I think you're going to see too is he's going to force Russ you're going to throw the ball and you're going to not hold on to it for 10, 15 seconds. He's going to make quick reads and if you have to throw it to the running back and get 3 or 4 yards, that's a good play.
That is, man. Speaking of some good plays, I want to play this real quick. Not actually play it. There's nothing to play, but I want to play a few comments up here. I want to read them off. I'll have you guys be silent for just a second, and then I think we're going to get some comments on it in one way or another. Clayton says, "I'm sticking with my guns, guys. 10-13 game win season." He says, "Like for real, coaching is better. Russ is going to be healthy finally. Ground and pound game, and our receivers are going to be fire. And with that play action, a few long balls." And the reason I said we're going to maybe play around is because he wants, not my thoughts, not Albert's thoughts. We want Jody's thoughts, man. 10-13 game winning season. Clayton says it's possible. Judge Jody, what are your thoughts, buddy?
I've been getting it from everyone, from Matt to David Slade. I've been saying Russ is going to have a minimum of 10 wins. Russ is going to ball out this year. He is. If I was Russ, and I think he's doing the same thing, he's using all this hay and last year as fuel to feed the fire. Russ knows last year was bad, but Russ knows what he's capable of. He's gotten himself in shape. He was one of the first ones, if not the first one, to OTAs 4:30 in the morning. He wanted Paton here. Reports are he blew up Drew Brees' phone every day to try to get Brees to convince Paton to come here. This is what he wanted. He got what he wanted. And I just expect a huge year from Russ. And then we'll see what kind of things people can say after that. And like he said, I expect the running game to be dominant. They went and addressed this O-line right away, spent big money. And so with that, along with Russ slimming down and Russ knows he's going to have to take off and run, I think it's going to be a great year for Russ and the Broncos.
Fantastic, Judge. I appreciate it. I think it's completely possible. I'm pressing that edge. I said 9-7-1. That was my prediction at the beginning. Maybe we'll realign that later down the road. But Judge thinks that with everything going on, that 10-13 win season is right there for you, Clayton. And he says, "Oh boy, love it." And Kenny's saying that you need your own gavel, buddy. Need a Broncos gavel.
I know. I need to find one.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, buddy. Better yet, an orange Judge's wig. Oh my goodness. Clayton's loving it too. Judge rules. Judge rules, buddy. The verdict has come down. Clayton, you're in for a treat as our 10 to 13 game winning season should come true according to Judge Jody. Appreciate you, Judge. Thanks for being with us this evening, man. Love it, bud. Love it. All right, guys. Well, with a late join of Jody, blowing through some topics, kind of going back over a few others. We've went a little bit long, but appreciate everybody. Obviously, thanks everybody who jumped in the comments. Clayton, appreciate you, buddy. Really came on strong here late. And hey, love to have you on the show. It sounds like we're going to get all lined for that. Kenny, thanks for jumping in here. Obviously, we had Michelle. That's always being a great supporter. So, Michelle, thank you always for jumping in here. I know being the wife of one of us podcasters isn't always easy. Being a supporter goes above and beyond some evenings. So, thank you for being here. Appreciate it a ton. I can't go without saying, because someone did let us know, Chad dropped 1,000 stars, guys. 1,000 stars from Chad Jensen over at the Mile High Huddle. So thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. Yeah, big round of applause, and not nearly as big as the one that you probably got when you put on your show for Bridge the Gap. So again, thank you for that as well, bud. Thank you, guys. Again, I'm probably leaving people out. I'm trying to kind of scroll through comments, but appreciate everyone who jumped in. If I didn't say it, Michael Ronquillo. You even have Jody Moncrief jumping in here. What's up? No, I'm just kidding. But J.C. Weaver, didn't even get to your comments. Sorry, buddy, but good evening to you as well, if you're still hanging on with us. So, again, everybody that jumped in, Matt Staffiero, you name it, thank you so much. Albert, it seems like I cut you off on the mic a little bit, especially on the later half of the show, man. Give me some closing thoughts. Give me anything that we didn't get to hit in the show real quick, and maybe, again, just some closing thoughts for our fans out there, man.
So we were talking for a little bit about undrafted players, Philip Lindsay. And by the way, he's not doing so great in the XFL. I saw him last Sunday, and it was not good what I saw.
Oh, no. Not good for the Sea Dragons, huh?
And Chris Harris Jr., but let's not forget Rod Smith. He was probably the best undrafted player ever.
Agreed, man. How that guy doesn't press towards a Hall of Fame nod at some point, I have no idea. Looked like a Hall of Fame career to me, and to be undrafted on top of it, agreed.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's I wanted to mention that, and because he deserves some. And yeah, it was a great show again. I'm really enjoying these shows, and maybe next week we can do something about maybe a little mock draft.
Hey, by the time we jump on next week, guys, we'll be like 2 days away from the draft. We'll everything. I can tell you right now, I'll put together an ad and everything, but next week, unless barring any explosive news that comes out of Broncos country, we're going to be talking about the draft exclusively. And don't know, it was kind of brought up, maybe even something during the draft, maybe some draft recaps. Not really sure exactly how that's going to go, but maybe something beyond just our regular Tuesday show. We still got to figure out if that's even possible. But just stay tuned, guys. If nothing else, hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do some draft next Tuesday for sure. So, Jody, I know you weren't in here for nearly as long. Had to do a little bit of a ruling, but any final thoughts for our fans? Anything that we didn't hit or that you want to re-hit that we didn't get to? And then we'll wrap it up from there, bud.
Yeah, I'm going to go off topic a little bit. The NBA and the NHL, these 8:00 starts for the Broncos or for the Nuggets and for the Avs is ridiculous. I mean, games are going till 10. I mean, the Nuggets game didn't start till almost 9:00 Sunday. I mean, if you're on the East Coast, that's 11:00 before the game starts. How do you stay up and watch that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. The Avs don't start till 8:00. I mean, they haven't even started yet. They probably won't start till 8:20 or so. Same with, and it's like this whole first round. It's ridiculous. And it's especially ridiculous for people on the East Coast. I mean, you're not up at, you're going to start watching a game at 11 o'clock at night.
Yep.
They've got to do something with that. So that's my little rant. I was up midnight trying to finish the Nuggets game. It's ridiculous.
I agree, man.
In my house at midnight, the kids are sleeping, the wife's sleeping. I have to cheer quietly. It's hard.
Yep. I hear you, buddy. I hear you. Now, I'm a speaking from like a, just a sports fan in general. I'm a Broncos fan first and foremost. If you were to talk about the other teams that I kind of watch, I'm also an Angels fan. For one, try to find an Angels game. And then two, these Angels games, man, starting on the West Coast, it's why there's not that many Angels fans. It's why it's Seattle Mariners have a hard time. Because no East Coast guy is ever going to stay up in his right mind to catch an Angels game, to catch a Mariners game.
Or when they start a game at 4 o'clock there, how do fans get there? They're still at work.
Right.
It's just some of it doesn't make any sense. If you're all about getting the most amount of revenue and all this, that's not helping your product.
Fantastic, man. Well, good final thoughts, man. I like that. A little different spin, a little different perspective. Get the fans what they need, man. Get the games on when we can all watch them, when we can all see them, when we can all drive to them, get to them, enjoy them, bring our friends, bring our family members, bring our kids. I mean, what kid is going to be able to stay up, little kid's going to be able to stay up until midnight to watch the end of his game,
right.
And then get up and go to third grade the next day. It just
doesn't work.
Take
the two of you guys, you don't live in Colorado, so, there's fans all over. It's not... That's what I'm getting at. It's just there's tons of other fans in other states than just your home state. So,
yep, that's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. Kenny coming in says my final thoughts: ballots are in, and the 3 first ballot Hall of Famers are the best Broncos podcast on earth. Great show, fellas. Well, man, thank you, Kenny. Appreciate that. Again, I mentioned it earlier, but Kenny actually has a little bit of a sports show himself over on the K&K Sports Show. Check those guys out, man. They cover everything. I tell you what, I go on there if I want a little bit of baseball knowledge, if I want a little bit of college football, college basketball. Those guys bring it. They know their stuff. And, man, fantastic stuff. Fantastic stuff. So
shout out to Kenny and Kurt's Knicks tonight. They came and brought it. Yeah.
They brought it in game 1. They got that win over the Cavs in Cleveland, man.
They didn't bring it in game 2.
Uh-oh. I didn't see that. I'm sorry. I got all excited for you, Kenny. I'm
sure there'll be a rant. I'm sure Kurt will be on a rant tomorrow.
Catch Kurt on the K&K Sports Show. I'm sure we'll hear all about it, man. My final thoughts, and probably even more so now that I've gotten all the news throughout our comments. My final thoughts is going to be, again, bridge the gap. Chad Jensen over there dropping 1,000 stars for us over here. Yes, thank you. I got my hands full, so yes, I'd be clapping if I didn't have my hands full. But guys, Bridge the Gap, fantastic album. B-side kicks some butt. They're Broncos guys. They're fantastic musicians, and my goodness, man, go check out Bridge the Gap, man. Chad Jensen is phenomenal, not only as far as what the content he brings for Broncos country, but my goodness, the content he brings to to music in general, man. Go check him out. Check out that B-side of the album and tell me it doesn't just kick your butt and put you in a good mood. It's fantastic stuff. Love it, man.
And if you want to check it out, you can find it on YouTube and Tidal. So they are available.
Yeah,
there.
Spotify. I think they have it on Apple Music as well. But yeah, check them out. Bridge the Gap. Appreciate the support, Chad. Appreciate all the support all throughout. And now Kenny's taking back his love for one Hall of Famer. You've been kicked out, Jody. You want to talk bad about the Knicks? Down the road you go, buddy. Better luck next year on trying to get in.
Don't let me count Nuggets or Avs.
There you go, guys. Well, again, thank you to all our fans out there. Appreciate everyone that chimed in. We're going to have to get this wrapped up. We're going to have to get out of here. But, hey, until next Tuesday, 6:30 Mountain Standard Time, right here on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, where you'll catch the Denver Bronco Roundup, brought to you by Willow Seasonings and Blends. Thank you guys very much. We'll check you out next week. Thanks.